So tell me about yourself and about your business and what you need. What's your bottleneck?
So pretty much I'm into real estate at the moment. I joined real estate business 2 years ago. Before real estate, I was working in various corporates, and the last 2 years I was working as a broker.
Where do you live?
I live in Central Europe, actually. Czech Republic, Central Europe.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. It's always special to speak somebody from America.
Yeah, I'm honored. That is amazing.
Yeah, me too.
How did you find my school?
I'm like not so active on school, like not so crazy active. But lately, I just realized that this platform is actually not so bad, and I happened to meet really some interesting people. And I was like, wow, this is actually pretty huge, lots of fun. And just realized that maybe I'm into real estate. Makes a lot of sense to actually look for something which is associated with real estate business on
Hmm.
school. So I just stepped in estate. And also, I was like, yesterday, I had this moment when I was just thinking that, like, I am joining some Q&A on Sunday, and also I'm joining one community call on Thursday. And I was like, okay, it would be nice to fill the gap on Monday as well, because I really start to enjoy whenever I speak to somebody from school.
Yeah.
For some reason, I feel that being in the business for a long time already,
Hmm.
I seem to see that school for some reason is really attracting intelligent and ambitious people. And I was like, okay, try to fill the gap and let's look for somebody who is like some calls on Monday, who is like into real estate business and such. And just these are like,
So
and I
what are
just,
you doing in real estate? You said you're a broker in Central Europe.
yeah, right. That's
Okay.
right.
What are you looking to do in real estate? What do you want? What's your
So
goal?
So, like, I look forward the vision to establish a real estate agency in Central Europe,
Okay.
selling, like, basically focusing on what I'm doing already, but making it bigger and taking it, further and making it bigger, basically.
Do you want to own properties?
Well, I think it makes lots of sense. Also, I'm looking to invest into my first property this year. I don't own myself yet, but I'm looking after investing my first property this year. By the end of this year, I'm looking to buy my first investment apartment, and then I would like to continue in this logic.
You could own investment properties before you own yourself, right? Because then
Yeah,
eventually maybe your investment properties will pay your house, right?
exactly. Exactly. That's my logic. Exactly. So, like as I was working as a broker, I was like, everybody I could to buy investment apartment. But yes, like for example, today we had this discussion on lunch with my new, let's say, co-workers from new company. I also work with one personal agency at the moment, and they were like, I don't understand the logic of buying investment apartment because you need to maintain the apartment, you need to fix the apartment every 2 years and such. And I was like, I was just listening. I was just thinking, yeah, yeah, yeah. But eventually, I made my mind already, and I absolutely share your point of view. Just make lots of sense to buy first apartment, and second, and house, or, something like
Yeah.
that.
As long as it's cash flowing, right? Got to make sure it's cash
Absolutely.
flowing. It's got to make sure it's a good deal.
Yeah.
So, what do you do to find leads?
So now looking to most of my business is coming from cold calling and just recommendations and asking people around if they know somebody who is looking to sell their house or sell their apartment. But I'm looking forward to automate this process in a way that I would like to, for example, start gathering leads using Facebook advertisements and then
Okay.
just driving the traffic to my website, which is
Yep.
already running.
SEO. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And, then from that moment, just those people as prospects and helping them basically sell their house. I feel like I'm in the position. Last year I sold 2 properties. This year I'm looking to sell 4 properties,
Okay.
and I was just very ambitious this year. But we are already in the summer, and I see how things go. I am already made my mind that probably things I need to go step by step, and don't need to, in my second year in the business, I don't need to sell a house every week or so. So I'm just thinking, finish selling 4 properties, complete the business, and invest this money back into the business. And next year maybe double these numbers. So next year it can be like, you never know. So that's just my thinking process at the moment.
So have you heard of wholesaling?
Yes, I do. I'm familiar with this term.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a certain clients, let's say, or contacts who are like, I do have lots of people in my network who are like to me, and whenever you happen to encounter some interesting opportunity, just let us know, and we will take advantage of that. So I do understand the logic. I have MBA in real estate, which I completed, let's say, last year, American MBA. So I do understand the logic, and yeah, I don't have like personal experience.
Yeah.
It's like experience. It's not so easy to find attractive properties which should be suitable for this purpose. It does happen from time to time, but I wasn't just myself. I wasn't successful in really selling any of these yet.
Yeah. So what I do is we try to find, well, we kind of what you do, right? Like you're looking for off-market properties, but you're looking for properties that are suitable for retail, right? Whereas we're looking for properties that are suitable for investors, right?
Yeah.
So we're looking for leads the same way, and that's kind of what we focus on in this group is how to generate leads. So I like
Mm-hmm.
to hear what you say, right? You're doing the cold calling, you're doing the Facebook leads, you're doing the SEO, which is the same.
Yes.
So you could essentially come upon distressed properties that may not be suitable for retail that then you can turn around and sell to an investor. So that's what we do is we look for the off-market properties that are in distress, like people have to sell, maybe they don't
Mhm.
want to sell.
Yeah.
Then we help that seller out of a situation, right, by purchasing their property and helping them need be helping them get into a new property. So that's kind of what we focus on in here.
Problem is personal experience in this area is that for example, I don't know. I'm just as we speak, I'm thinking about, for example, 2 properties which are encountered and which I felt like this could be suitable for this wholesale reasons
Mm-hmm.
or intentions, let's say. But then after you do the calculations and after you do the math, you realize that not necessarily, because, for example, owners, they sell that property not so cheap, and if you add a repair cost to the cost of the property, you already exceed the average selling price of the given property for the given market. So like you have bigger experience or more deeper experience, but my personal experience is that wholesale probably makes lots of sense and it's a very popular topic. But I feel like you need to keep the property for some time to accomplish a positive cash flow return.
It would have to be a property that you would, a lot of renovation, right? And so if seller is wanting too high of a price, then it wouldn't make sense. You'd have
Mhm.
to negotiate the seller down. So this would be a seller who maybe really needs to get out of the property quickly. They don't want to show it. They don't want to put it on the market because there are plenty of sellers that are out there like that. Now, if the seller doesn't mind, you can still put a distressed property on the market and that's when you could list it.
Yeah.
But this would be like a totally different side of real estate, right? Like people that they don't want to list it on the market. They just want to sell it to somebody. A lot of people we come across are hoarders or sick, always some sort of problem that comes up that they need to sell quickly and they don't have
Mhm.
time to put it on the market. And especially in this market when could sit for a long time and they need a quick cash deal, they're willing to give up equity in order to sell it. So it's a
Right.
little bit of a different side than what you're on. You're on the retail side.
Mhm.
So you're looking for leads that people who have nice houses that they want to sell, right?
Yeah, I feel it's easier. I feel it's easier rather than finding as you said, of market opportunities and then connecting these with particular investors. I tried that already. I do have people who are, for example, bringing me some interesting opportunities. I don't know where they are getting these, but they're sending me a list of properties available. So I do have such contacts, but eventually I realized I just want to do the things that, as you just said, just meeting people who have attractive properties and then helping them to sell those properties.
If you ever want to be an investor yourself, the best way to become an investor where they cash flow is to buy the properties that are already in distress and you fix them up and refinance them. That's the best way to cash flow versus buying a property that's retail,
Mm,
that there is no value add,
mm.
because then you're going to be getting a higher loan amount. So you really, like, if you're going to become an actual investor, the types of properties that you want to buy are going to be the distressed properties where you come in and you fix them up and refinance them.
So the
And
idea, so the idea is what you're suggesting is really not to desperately look after buying first apartment and then keep it for, let's say, 5 years, 10 years, and then use it as a for another one. It's just what you're suggesting. The better approach is to start with looking into distressed properties, buying, fixing, selling, making profit, and continue.
yes, for you, right? So you could
Mhm.
actually have, different strategies. So you're a real estate agent, right?
Yeah,
Real estate agent that you are coming across properties all the time. Most
yeah,
of them are ready for retail. But if you close-minded and you look past all the properties that are in distress, you're going to miss an opportunity to be an investor yourself.
that's right.
So for me, what I feel like is, real estate. Now you want to open a brokerage, great. That's a business, right? That's an active income business. That's your long-term goal.
Hmm.
And that's great. We have to have active income, right? But then if
Yeah,
we really want to build wealth, right? Which I'm the reason why I'm in real estate is because I want to build true wealth.
naturally.
It's going to be through investing, right? Like
Mhm.
buying properties, acquiring them, holding them, because we know, right, that in the long term, that is what beats inflation, right? That what, millionaires and billionaires.
Of course.
And so I would just suggest that stay the course, right? Because you want to open a brokerage. So stay the course with your business, but be open-minded to looking for these distressed properties that could be for you.
Hmm.
So if you come across a house or an apartment, like you said, that not be suitable for the market, could not be insurable, right? Might not be something that somebody wants to see. This could be something that you make them a cash offer and you buy it yourself, you fix it up, and then you can refinance it and you walk into a property with instant equity and cash flow.
That's right. I see. I
Instead
see.
of buying it retail where there is no equity and there is no cash flow.
Yeah, understand.
So you're just in a
Yeah,
really
that's
good
right.
position where you are being the person that's getting all of these leads, because that's where I get a lot of my leads where for deals that I buy. So
Hmm.
I'm a wholesaler and I'm a flipper. So I look
Hmm.
for distressed properties because
Hmm.
I want to fix them up and turn
Hmm.
around and sell them. So I need there to be equity in them.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
sometimes I keep them. I refinance them and I keep them myself and then I walk into equity and cash flow.
Hmm.
So some people that I go to find distressed properties are people like yourself, real estate agents who are on the front line talking to all these people, right? So you're doing the cold calling, you're doing all of the SEO, and you might come across a property that you say, well, this wouldn't be a good property for me to list. Whatever reason, sure you come across people that can't list their properties. Well, maybe it's a mind opening situation, right? Open your
Hmm.
eyes to like the other possibilities here that we could do with this property. There's investor buyers out there that are looking for these types of properties that can close quickly,
Hmm.
right? Just to keep your mind open about other side of real estate, which is the not pretty side, right? The distressed
Yeah,
property side. That's really what I focus on, the flipping and the wholesaling. But
right.
you actually brought up a good point. We have a lot more people in here. Hello, everybody. I've been talking to Michael. He's from Eastern Europe, so he was the first one on, and everybody was kind of dragging along. So I said, let's have a chat and do a little bit of a one-on-one here. So it was very interesting to meet Michael from Eastern Europe. That was exciting. Um, A lot of people on this call are from the United States. So we're excited to have, well, except for Paris, my girl Paris, she's here. Um, so we were going to talk today about what you were saying, like generating leads. That's really what these calls are about because in order to have a business, you have to have leads, right? There are no business that leads. And I love Michael, you said something really cool today. You said, one house, I don't need to do a house every week, be slow. Like you can make it as slow or as fast as you want or need it to be, right? But
Mhm.
you're in it for the long haul. That's
That's
the
right.
whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Listening to a podcast today by Brent Daniels. If you guys don't know Brent Daniels, he's done over 2,000 deals. He's a super good dude. Um, and I listened to a lot of his stuff, and he was saying today, talking to some guy today about how he kind of out right before it hit his flow. And that's the great thing about real estate is that you as fast or as slow as you want it to be. And he realized that he wasn't completely bought in, right? So in order to be, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say one thing because I think you mentioned several really good ideas, and I just cannot hold myself. I need to quote, for example, Bill Gates on this topic, and he says, and I'm literally talking from my experience, that people, probably many people know this. He used to say that people overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year and underestimate what they can accomplish in a decade. This is
Yes.
obviously a famous quote. It makes too much sense because, like, especially in real estate, my experience is that you keep calling people every day, cold calling, pushing the, and then you can simply end up frustrated, run out of the energy, and give up just before everything is just before the breaking point.
Yes,
And
exactly.
or you take it opposite and say like, okay, I 2 properties last year. This year I'm sell 4 properties. This is actually not so bad. And if I do the same trend in a couple of years, I will be really happy that I just stayed in the business. I wasn't really crazy of selling, 50 per second year in the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You're in control of your own destiny here. That's the greatest thing about real estate. You're in control
Yeah.
of your own destiny. However much time you put into this business is what you're going to get back. It's all about consistency and persistency. So one of the things that Brent was on his podcast today was there's a couple of things that you need to figure out as you're generating all of these leads, right? So whether you're flipping, whether you're wholesaling, whether you're, a agent, you have to figure out who are you marketing to? And I thought about that, okay, back and think who it is that I'm marketing to. So if you're wholesaling, there's a lot of people you can be marketing to. You can be marketing to sellers, which is obvious, right? Direct to seller, that's what we call it. We're looking for properties and we're going directly to the seller. But you can also be talking to people like Michael, right? Michael's an agent, and Michael is the intermediary between you and the seller. And he's out there making cold calls and doing SEO and Facebook leads. And that's the greatest thing about marketing to real estate agents is that they do a lot of that direct to seller work for you. So no matter and all of these things should be implemented into your business at some point. However, if you're just getting started, you really need to focus in on one of these things. So I want you to think about I'm just starting out my business, I'm generating leads. Maybe you're having success, but if you're not, it's probably because you're doing too many things at once. And there needs to be a streamlined focus into one thing to start and to get really, really, really that one thing. So who are you marketing to? Sellers, direct to seller, agents, like we talked about with Michael. You can also market to other wholesalers. So you're also doing the same things that agents are doing. They're going direct to seller and they're doing all the work for you, right? So they're doing the cold calling and the mailing and the Facebook leads and the SEOs. So you might be marketing to them looking for deals. You want to pick one of these things when you're first getting started. There's people who have built whole businesses around just marketing to agents and just marketing to wholesalers. So you can build a whole business around that, right? The
Mm.
benefit of going direct to seller is that there is no intermediary. You are the person that is direct relationship with the person who is selling their house. So that's a really big benefit. I love direct to seller. I always have. But maybe there's a lot more time and effort and money that goes in direct to seller. So if you don't have a whole lot of money, that might not be the route that you want to take at first. Maybe you want to take the free route because calling agents is free and calling wholesalers is free. But that's question number one. Who are you marketing to? Pick one of those things and go hard at one of those things. Okay, so this thing would be, where are your leads coming from? And when I say leads, I don't mean lead, like I mean points. So if you're going to start marketing today, you need to have data to market to. So where is your data coming from? And it's got to be good data because we all know that the people that have the best data are the ones that are getting the most leads, and you need to niche all the way down. So if you're calling agents, sorry, I have like a little bit of cold today. If you're calling agents, where are you pulling your agent list from? You need to be pulling your agent list and you need to be super consistent with it. So you can pull agent lists from PropStream. You can pull agent lists from batch leads. There's Morby has his new deal sauce out there. I know that you can pull leads from deal sauce. I don't have paid advertisement for any of those. I'm just trying to help people out. Now, if you are going to be going direct to seller, you're going direct to seller, where are you pulling your leads from? If you are doing the same thing, if you're pulling your leads from the same place that you're pulling your agents from, like PropStream, batch leads, or Deal Sauce, you're pulling your leads from the same place as millions of other people all around the world, which means that it's going to be a little bit harder to find people that sell that way. So the best way to find direct to seller leads is to the best source, which I call courthouse data. And I know we've talked about this a lot. Going to the courthouse and pulling the data of the people who have cases in the court because they're in distress. And what that looks like is pre-foreclosure, right? People who haven't paid their mortgage, probates, people who have died, divorces, people who need to sell their house because they're getting a divorce, and tax defaults, right? So these are all people that have to sell. Maybe they don't want to sell, but they need to sell. So if you're going direct to seller, these are the leads that you want to start marketing to direct to seller. So that's your second question. So number one, who are you marketing to? You pick one. Find where are you getting your leads from? You need to know where you're getting your leads from because you're going to be getting them consistently, however that comes. So if you want to get courthouse data, you're going to either buy it or you're going to get it yourself, which great if you can. There's a guy that sells me a lot of deals in here that he knows how to go to courthouse and scrape all the data himself. That takes a lot of work and it's hard to find. So, like, what I do is I just go and I buy it from somebody who does it for me, and it's not that expensive. And I host in my school community, a really good company that you can buy leads from that will send them to you daily for whichever county that you want to market to. And then the third question, okay, because once the leads start coming in, is going to be what's your follow-up system? And I feel like this is probably the most important question, right? Because how often, Michael, do you get a deal on the first call?
Sorry, I mean,
Like the call someone and you say, excuse me, the first time you call someone, do they just say, yes, let's sell my house and put it on the market, right? They probably don't. Probably takes a
uh,
couple of calls and some relationship
right,
building and
right,
yes.
yeah, naturally, and yeah, makes
Yeah.
different sense.
So probably one of the most important questions of the three is to have a very specific follow-up system.
Hmm.
So you need to ask yourself those three questions because once you start who you're marketing to, where your leads coming from, right? And your leads start coming in, then you need to start a follow-up system. So, if on these and there's different ways that you can, pull leads, right? If you phone calling agents, you're not going to be door knocking agents, but if you're going direct to seller, you can be mailing them You can be door knocking them and you can be cold calling them. I highly suggest cold calling. It does take a lot more commitment, might take a little bit longer. However, it works.
Hmm.
But you'd have to have a lot of time. So if you don't have a lot of time to cold call, then how much time do you cold call, Michael?
Like, let's say I made this number, 20 calls per day, which I used to call much first year in business. I was like calling maybe 3 hours or 4 hours per day. Now I just reduced and I'm calling like 2 hours per day, or in average at least 20 calls per day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's up to you, right? So there's
Mm.
time blocking. You
Yeah.
want to make sure that you're blocking out time every single week to market to these leads.
Mm.
So when I first started cold calling, same thing, right? I had leads. I went from 0 leads. I had to start from day one, excuse me, and I had to start cold calling. So my goal was to cold call 30 to 35 hours a week every single week because I needed to generate leads. And this is what you guys are going to have to do when you are marketing to these leads. And it's going to feel like there's a lot of no's in these first couple months. It's going to feel like people aren't answering, you're getting the wrong phone number, this, that, or the other, right? It does, promise, right? So when that happens, what do? Right? You kind of scale a little bit. You kind of think, this is working. Maybe I need to go figure out something else that is. And your downfall is going to be. Your downfall is going to be when you don't think it's working. And so you go try something else. You didn't give it enough time. No matter how long it takes you, you keep, right? This is it. This is the future. This is your business. You're starting your business. You have to keep going, right? So in the beginning, you don't want to be spending a whole heck of a lot of money because you'll run out of money before you run out of time, right? So that's the whole premise of this. Like, how can we spend the least amount of money possible before we find our first deal? And that's going to be different for everybody, the threshold of how much money they have to spend. But I like to think of it as you want to have a year of expenses. So whatever that looks like. So you probably don't want to start out mailing people because mailing is very expensive. You need to be spending at least $3,000 to $5,000 a month on mailers. And you'd have to think 3 to 5,000 times 12 because you want to build in a 12-month budget when you're first starting out, right? Because your first year of business, no matter what business you're in, is not going to be super profitable. It's that second year of business. Now, what's great about real estate and what's great about wholesaling is that it can be super profitable depending on how much time you put into it. But just in your mind, so you set expectations. So your expectation should not be how much revenue I'm bringing in the first year. Your expectation is how much time I am putting into the activity of my business. Actual taking, right? Not watching videos, obviously, education and going to meetups. Like these are all things that you need to help get you to where you want to go, but you need actual action taking inside of your business in order for your business to grow, or you'll never get anywhere. So my goal when I first started out was I have to be putting 30 to 35 hours of taking action, and mine was I'm going direct to seller. At the time, I didn't really know better, and I still got deals. It took me longer, but I was just pulling these big lists of absentee homeowners in Jacksonville, Florida, right? I wish I knew then what I know now. And my action taking hours were 30 to 35 hours a week. I had a notebook that I used to follow up, so it doesn't need to be anything fancy. I did very quickly go to a CRM, a client relationship system that was very cheap. I think it was like $10 a month. And I ended up loving that because that really helps with the follow-up system, right? And I followed up. So in the beginning, I was doing 30 to 35 hours of cold calling. And once I started getting leads in, now I need to follow up. So just imagine generating leads, strictly generating leads for 30 to 35 hours. Now I need to add hours in there to follow up because I want to make sure that every single person that I talk to is getting some sort of follow up text, follow up phone call. And that single agent that I'm talking to, and agents are the same. I think people forget this. Like you want to be top of mind to these people that you're talking to as you're finding leads. You want to be the one that they remember. Every time I sign up, I don't know if I know Paris knows who Alex Hermoisi is, but he's this guy that's growing to be a billionaire, has multiple businesses, is does the book $100 million leads. He's a complete genius and a rich guy. He's the thing that, about building business is that you don't have to be incredibly good at something. You just have to do it over and over and over and over and over again, right? And anytime I sign up for any of Alex Hermoisi's events, he's not going to let me forget it. He doesn't let me forget who he is. And that is what you have to be. You have to be an amazing marketer. You have to be an amazing at getting in front of people over and over and over again and not caring about who they are, like what they think of you, right? Make them be so annoyed with you that they either sell to you or tell you to F off, right? So, I saw your Geraldine, did you ask this question today? What kind of CR dialer do you use? Or maybe you asked that last week. Okay, I'll get to that in just a second. I will answer that question. Um, so yes, Paris, the game will make you win. I don't know if I ever told you guys this story before, but I'm gonna tell it again because it's a good one. I had a guy that he cold called him. He had 6 properties on that were on this. He was the owner of all 6 properties. I called him. He was so annoyed. He was getting so many calls. He basically said, "Don't ever fucking call me again," right? And so at the point, I have to put him in my do not call list. Because when somebody tells you not to ever call them again, you don't want to call them again because that would mean that they could sue you, right? They asked you not to call. If you do it again, you're going to get in trouble. So that's what happened. I put him in my do not call list. Well, little did I know he owned about like 8 more other than that. And he happened to get back into my system somehow about 6 months later. And at that point, I had had my sister to come on to be a cold caller, right? Because I had gotten to a point in my business where I had so many leads to follow up on, I no longer had 35 hours to call, right? So since I didn't have 35 hours a week to generate leads because now I need to follow up on work on other parts of my business, I had to hire someone to come in because I never wanted to stop generating leads 35 hours a week, 35 to 40 hours a week, right? I mean, this is why some people hire VAs to do the calls for them when they get to a point in their business where they need to be the ones that are following up and talking to sellers and closing deals and finding buyers. You're the one pony, right? In the beginning. So I hired my sister. Well, he slipped back in and she called him and he said, "Yes, I actually did. I do want to sell my properties." And so she had a long conversation with him and she sent him over to me. And I looked at his name and I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember this guy. He like totally reamed me out. I wonder how he got back in my system. Well, the story went that in that 6 months, his best friend had died. And his best friend owned 20 properties himself, and his kids wanted nothing to do with those properties and were just completely oblivious. And it was a whole huge mess. So at that point in time, he realized he needed to deal with his affairs, and his life flashed before his eyes because his best friend had just died. And he was in his late 50s, so he was still really young. And he knew his kids wanted nothing to do with his properties. And he thought, gosh, I need to retire and go enjoy my life and stop managing all these properties myself. And they were great properties, great rental he had maintained. And so I ended up getting all 14 of his properties under contract and I sold them to an investor at $5,000. I made $5,000 per property. So that wasn't like a huge assignment, but it was a huge assignment fee because when we closed, I made that much money. But what was that we followed up, right? We just kept following up. We went on site visits. We did all that. So it's really all follow up. We have a calls here. Questions here. Geraldine says, what kind of dialer do you suggest? The dialer that I suggest, so there's 2 ways to go about this. There are some CRMs out there And Nick knows this, right? There's Go High Level and Go has a dialer. I don't know how smart Nick is. He's probably pretty smart, smarter than me. But I felt like Go High Level was very cheap, which is great. I think it's maybe $80 a month. It's a little bit complicated for me. And so I didn't choose that route, but they have a dialer in there. I love when CRMs combine dialers because that means that everything is all in one system and you don't have to like move leads around or anything like that, right? If you are starting out and you want something also really cheap, I thought that Mojo dialer was a very great starting out dialer, and it also has a CRM. It's not really where you'll stay. I think eventually you move, which is why if you go with a platform like High Level, you'll probably stay there because that is an amazing CRM. You just have to be really kind of tech savvy to that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, Nick, but when I was looking into it, I was like, I don't understand this. Um, but then feel the same way, Nick?
Yeah, I actually decided to just hire somebody who white labeled Go High Level, so it was already set up for me because
Yes,
it,
just
it is
like
it's very complicated and pretty techy.
okay. So see, Nick's and it was complicated. So there you go. Re Simply is it's very simple. That's why it's Re Simply, and it's simply is with an I, not a Y, R-E Simply, but it is a little pricey. So it just kind of depends. I think, Geraldine, starting out, if you don't have a lot of money and you're trying to keep it to maybe like $100 to $200 a month spending money, then Mojo is a great starting place to generate leads. And that's where I started. And I used Mojo for almost a year. And I also used it as my CRM. It's $99 a month. And you can buy a number for $3 a month. So really, you're paying like $102 a month. I really liked that dialer. And you can, it dials through your cell phone. So you can put a headset on your cell phone and it'll just dial the numbers for you. And you can do a 1 line or a 3 line. The 3 line's more expensive. If you are calling niche data, the courthouse data, do not need to use a 3 line dialer. You just want to dial those people individually over and over and over and over again. I hope that answers your question.
I've been
Um,
using Google Phone for the courthouse data.
yeah, so or Google, I love it. So how much is that, Nick?
$10 a month.
There you go. $10 a month. You just go buy a Google phone number, right? Okay. So Nick asks, is your take on hiring AI cold callers? I think it's how you person. There's a team in Jacksonville. They're called Simple Cell. And they, do you know Simple Cell? Use AI callers. The thing with AI cold callers is that, I mean, they can 20, 50,000 2 minutes. So you need to have a ton of data. Um, I mean, 20,000 skip trace, which can be very pricey. So it'd kind of be like a company like Dataflix. And Dataflix will send you, say 10,000 leads a month, they're skip traced. That would probably cost you about $7,000 to $8,000 a month. And then you hand that to the AI cold caller. I don't necessarily feel like for a beginner it's necessary, but if you were looking for an AI cold caller to call your leads, because I know you're getting courthouse data, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Just depends on how trained the AI cold caller is because you have to these people to talk like you, which they can, and they can have whole conversations like you. It won't be you, but eventually you don't want to be in your business anyway. You want to be working on your business, not working in your business. That's the goal. So again, that would just be a preference. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just think, in the could be costly, but it's totally up to you how much you want to spend.
I'm just realizing driving around landmass Jacksonville looking at properties takes a lot of time away
Hmm.
from calling people. So I was
That
trying
is
to
a good,
balance.
so the same thing happened to me, right? Remember how I said I was making those 35 hours? It wasn't long. It wasn't 4 weeks until I was going out and making appointments with sellers. Same thing. And I was going out to meet sellers and then I could no longer generate leads. So that's something that you don't want to happen to you in your business. Where now Sure, you're taking action because you're out there going and meeting with sellers, but who's still generating leads? Who's still following up? So I think it's a great idea, either that or either one. Because you
I'm trying to figure out a way
definitely,
to balance it.
like if you're on that bottleneck part of your business where you need someone to continue making those calls because you're out there in the field meeting with sellers, then yes, you need to hire someone. And whether that's your sister or an AI cold caller, I think it's totally fine. Um, I had a lot of experience with the AI cold calling. I only have the experience that I know that they have over there at Simple Cell. Um, and I know that Simple Cell, they don't even answer any calls unless the AI cold caller transfers it. She also follows up. I call her, I think her name's Jen, like lead Jen or something like that. That's what they call her. She transfers all the calls, but they've also been working on her and training her for 3+ years. So she's really, really good because they've been working on her for so long. That's another thing with the AI is that you have to continually work with them. But if you can, that's amazing. I mean, that's with the bots too on your websites. It's kind of like Michael was talking about earlier that you want to make sure like you guys can be starting to set up some websites. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. I think I have a GoDaddy, cost me $15 a month, and I just put some you just get leads, right? And it legitimizes you. So that's a whole separate thing. But anyways, same thing. It's the same thing with the bot. So when people come to you, then they can talk to somebody right away. I mean, AI is next. You got to know how to do AI in this business too. But just starting out, you probably don't. Um, but you're at a bottleneck in your business now where you're out there looking at properties and generating leads. So you do need someone to take over the lead gen part. So that's the most important thing. So those are the questions that we covered today. Does anybody have any questions about that? What else? What else?
Today, nothing more from my side. I think we
Nothing
covered.
more. So
We
nice
covered
to
lots
meet
of.
you, Michael.
Yes, a pleasure on my side. It's just that it's like 10:30.
Okay, so you got to go to bed.
Yeah, now I'm soon sleeping, but it's attractive topic anyway.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah,
What
pleasure.
else? What else going on?
I can't type that fast. Data syndicate.
Okay.
Worth it, not worth it.
Yeah. So for you, what's your goal? Want to be a wholesaler?
Well, I mean, I want to flips, but you have to generate leads. I mean, you have the same work no matter what you're doing. So generate leads. And when I say generate leads, definitely want to, I remember I mentioned going to REI, one of the meetups, and it was this woman selling lists, and she said they're real leads, warm, blah, 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 blah. Everyone's, I don't think I'm in that position to spend that kind of money. Like I
No.
feel like I'm at that point. I've spent so much money. It's time to just focus and not spin my wheels. But that being said, is it that I give data syndicate money and generate leads, or do I do this CRM? I don't know which direction I'm willing to do it and to spend it, but I want to know, is
Yeah.
this
Shiny object syndrome because you haven't gotten your first deal yet. Okay. You have to find what your goal is. So Pam wants to flip. She's got a son at home. She wants to generate some income. Your husband has a job, right? So that's good, right? So that you can build your real estate career. You want to own properties,
Mhm.
but you are not, and you're a lender,
Mhm.
but you're not a wholesaler.
No.
So you do not need to be going direct to seller. If you started out, if you changed your focus and you said, okay, let me do some wholesaling here and generate some leads and make some wholesale fees, and then maybe I'll buy my first deal. You could do that, but I think you would just be like going away from your goal is. You need to be doing more networking with agents and more networking with wholesalers, and maybe you hire someone to come, like if you're going to spend money somewhere, spend money on hiring someone to and show them how to underwrite deals.
I find like that's what I'm constantly at this computer underwriting, which means I'm pulled away from, like we talked a couple weeks ago, get relationships going with the agents. Well, it's on the top of my list and on my calendar every day. But when I open up the lead generation I have from my wholesalers or realtors or whatever, I get pulled away from that, and that's all I do, and I can't stop. I have to like do every one that potential. And then at the end of the day, I haven't reached out to any agents or developed more relationships. So
Right. So you're not
you
generating any more leads in a day because you're just underwriting a bunch of shitty deals that are coming at you, which
yep.
you don't need to be doing. So if you're going to put your money anywhere,
Okay.
I would put my money in hiring someone to help me underwrite deals and paying that person. Like maybe even somebody on this call wants to do that. Maybe somebody on this call wants to learn how to underwrite deals, and Pam will pay if she buys a deal, or maybe she'll pay them for how many deals she underwrites. So if you're interested in that, reach out to Pam. But no, so depending on what your goal is, that's focus. If your goal is you want to be a flipper and you don't want to be a wholesaler, then you need to go to the people who are going to be wholesalers, right? Like people on this who are going direct to seller and they're doing all of that work for you, right? So they're buying, so you may have to pay an assignment fee, but you're not paying any marketing money, right?
Mhm.
You're generating leads for free from the people that are paying the marketing money. That's why I'm like, I don't mind paying assignment fees because I didn't have to pay the money or time to go out and find that deal. So you're either going to be going direct to seller and paying money and time to wholesale it to other people, or you're going to be the buyer and you're going to market with wholesalers and agents. Don't get shiny object syndrome. You don't need to be going direct to seller. You're going to be marketing to wholesalers and agents. And I think that you can also, if you find a deal that maybe isn't for you, think about connecting those deals with other buyers and maybe making a fee, kind of like we did Anne on her first deal. So, do you deal in St. Augustine that she brought to us? Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll tell the story. So, Pam was in my flipping class. I do a flipping class. And there was another lady in my flipping class. And she, right before she had come to the class, she got this deal under contract. And she was showing it to me and she was telling me all these things. And, like she was saying, like, this huge profit, and we do this and we could do that. And I was doing the underwriting and I thought, this is a deal. It's just, it's a right. And for somebody to on a project like this, like I don't even want to take this project on. I told her, I don't think you should take this project on, but I think there's a buyer out there that would definitely take this project on. And so that's what we did. I connected her with a buyer, and she made a wholesale fee of $10,000. So she got her EMD back because it was a non-refundable EMD, and she made $10,000. So she didn't lose that deal. She walked away for a better deal and made $10,000. So that's something that you could do too if you see a deal where you're like, hey, this might not for me, but it could be for somebody else. The numbers look, and you can do that with agents. You can do that with wholesalers. Agents are going to start sending you pocket listings if you are connecting with enough agents, right? So I think you just need to focus on generating leads that way and letting those people go direct to seller. So Nick said, shoot him a text. I don't know if you saw it in the comments because he's already doing data syndicate and already set up his CRM so he can sell you deals.
Are you local? Jack's local?
She is.
Okay.
And she is looking
Perfect.
for her first flip.
Save yourself some money then.
Yes, save, yeah, exactly, right? Because once Nick's wholesaling, like he's getting after it, right? Like that's his business is a wholesaling business, and that's not what you're doing. So work with
I just
people like
decided
Nick.
I set up on the week of 4th of July, so I cut myself off. Holiday weekend, nobody wants to talk.
Oh, really? I thought everybody'd want to talk. They all said to call you back. Good for you, working on the 4th of July. See, that's getting after it. All right, I love the in here. Pam, Paris wants to connect with you too. Paris and I have been friends for many years now, and she's awesome. And she lives in Iraq or Iran. Iran.
I'm Iranian.
Oh, you moved
Yeah,
to Spain? I
but
didn't
last
know.
year.
Yes. Good
But
job. That's
Thank you.
awesome. Oh,
One
how
step
you love it?
closer. I love it. Yeah.
Oh,
Have you been here?
I've been to Spain. Oh my gosh.
Amazing.
Congratulations. You
Can't
didn't
wait
tell
to do.
me.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Sorry.
For many
Well,
years, she was
you.
trying to move out of Iran, get out of that place,
Right.
and I'm so glad you are.
Thank you.
And she can, I think she can help you. She's always working. She's a hustler.
Yeah. Thank you.
Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to tell Michael, if you want to connect, I would love to talk to you also.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, Spain, I have like a couple of people who want to buy apartment there. So I just wanted to ask where specifically in Spain are you located? Because it's not that far from Czech Republic neither.
That is awesome. Connecting people
Yeah.
across the world here. That's what I
Yeah.
like to
I'm
see.
sending you my
Amazing.
Spanish number. WhatsApp me if you want.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, thanks, guys. All right. Anybody else before we go? Yes, Rocio, I love it too. This is so exciting. I love it. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We will be back here again next Monday, networking, talking about generating leads and whatever else you guys need help with. I really appreciate you. I love these calls on Mondays, I always say, because I need it just as much as everybody else needs it, right? To get that, because Mondays you can always get the blues, right? Who you are, where you're at in your business, right? It's kind of like, oh, it's Monday. Like we need to know what we're doing is good, then it's right, and get refocused, right, for the rest of the week, especially after the holiday weekend, because we got 5 days this week, except for I'm going to take off on my birthday. My birthday's on Thursday. So
Happy birthday.
thank you. Yes. So I'm going to take off on my birthday and go to the
Juliano
beach.
and Julio, both?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, much. And I will see you next week.
See you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.